Welcome to the Jehovah Chronicles with your host, Cosmon Cal.
Now, y'all know good and well, I couldn't come with a Thanksgiving harvest feast special. You dig what I'm talking about? I'm not going to be long on this. I'm not going to be long-winded. Right? But y'all know good and well. Y'all know good and well. Cosmon could not start this thing off no other way. Right? Let's get it.
He said, not only that, but look at here. Look. I got beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, rams, hogs, dogs, chicken, turkeys, rabbits, you name it. God damn it. But look at here. Look. I got beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, rams, hogs, dogs, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, turkeys, rabbits.
You name it.
Greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, rams, hogs, dogs, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, turkey, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes,
Hey.
lamb, rams, hogs, dogs, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, turkeys, rabbits. Beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, beans, greens, beans, greens, beans, 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 greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, turkeys, chicken, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, turkeys. You name it.
Hey.
You name it.
Hey.
You name it.
Hey. Let's go.
Welcome to the wonderful
You know
world
you had
of
to
Wilton.
get that thing started off right.
Where-
You know what I'm talking about. This your hostess with the mostest, holding that fly like a roach clip. Hey, it's Cosmon Cal, man. Your naga, your nerve. Fresh off of the curve, jelly jam and preserve, and just checking back in from the Syrian heavens. Peace to the righteous gods in Nirvana and goddesses created gang. Gang is up in this thing. All praises due to the ever-present creator. You did what I'm talking about, man. Y'all come on in, man. This ain't gonna be no crazy build or nothing. This is just gonna be a little build on really what happened to create this holiday that we now call Thanksgiving. Right? We're gonna look into a little bit of the the Aboriginal practices here in America and how the ending the harvest season festival ends up turning into what we now call today Thanksgiving. You dig what I'm talking about? I'm gonna drop the link in the chat. Man. Y'all come on up in here. Come on up in here. Y'all come on up in here. I ain't gonna tell y'all Negroes no more. You dig what I'm saying? I'm just just get a little vibe. You dig what I'm talking about? Set a little vibe off in this thing real quick, man, and we just gonna jump right into a dope vid. You dig what I'm talking about? Break really what was going on in the Americas. You dig what I'm talking about? A little nice visual without all the fluff. You know what I mean? You know, just telling what happened without all the fluff and mustard. You did what I'm talking about, trying to tell us these people who in no way could have been here were somehow here. You dig what I'm talking about? And you know, without all the conflating, you know what I mean? But as always, we always got to dodge a hijack somewhere in there, man. But either way, you know, let me share my screen with y'all. Let's just set a little vibe real quick. Let's get some of that higher light going up in this thing. You dig what I'm saying? Let me see. Let's go this way. Let's go. All right. No, this is an open chop session, man. You know, this is an open chop session. We can talk about anything. You dig what I'm saying? My bad. It's an open chop session. We can talk. Damn, I did it again. All right. Okay. Dang. That was crazy. You know, just want to set the right vibe in the mood, man. We can always build on anything. This is an open chop session. I just wanted to bring some of this Aboriginal history of America, you dig what I'm talking about, to the forefront, because they'd like to try to put it on Europeans like they brought all this stuff here. When we have been practicing these holy days, holidays, Sabbaths for thousands of years on the equinoxes. And many of them, all you got to do is understand, many of them are come halfway through a season. You dig what I'm talking about? 45 days through a 90-day season. You dig what I'm saying? You start to fall on your holy days. You dig what I'm talking about? Which usually fall on the Sabbath, by the way, anyway. But let's, you know, we just want to get off into that, you know, show some of the history on it, man, and just keep building real quick. But let's set the vibe first real quick. Shout out to the boy Chronic. Shout out to Free National. These boys hot, too. You dig what I'm saying? They got one with this one. Let's go.
Oh, na, 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 na. Oh, na, 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 na. Oh, na, 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 na. Good vibration, yeah. That's the positive vibes and we creating, yeah. The sounds that make you feel right, we keep it blazing, yeah. Forever shining this light, we keep it blazing, yeah. Boy, forever shining this light. Hey, thank the Lord, my cup is full and running over. All who never like we, I got love we know. Baby girl just text me, say she coming over. And when she reach it, want me fit turn off the phone. Turn the lights down low, turn up the stereo, yeah. Alton Ellis, Gregory Isaac, Dennis Brown. Have you ever been in love? No bad vibes can't stop this good vibration, yeah. That's the positive vibes we keep creating, yeah. Sounds that make you feel right, we keep it blazing, yeah. As long as we live in this life, we keep it blazing, yeah. As long as we live in this life, yeah. Ain't nothing wrong with melodies that touch your soul, no. They're acting like the people don't need it no more. Still when she hear that good music, she hold me closer. She groovy now, I know she feeling it for sure. She moved to me and rest her bread up on my shoulder. Soothingly she tell me if it turn up the sound. Have you ever been in love? No bad vibes can't stop this good vibration, yeah. Oh yeah. That's the positive vibes and we creating, yeah. Sounds that make you feel right, we keep it blazing, yeah. Forever shining this light, we keep it blazing, blazing. Forever shining this light, ooh yeah.
Lowe's knows how to get great holiday deals.
Always like the feel of that song. I always did like the feel of that song, the vibe that it gives. You dig what I'm talking about? And if you got a nice little knocking system in the house, or you got some real dope highs in your whip, you know what I mean? The bass sound nice, man. You drop the top on that thing on a starry night, bro. Listen, it'll take you there. That vibe will get you there. You dig what I'm saying? And that's what we chasing after, right? That high etheric light, the truth in these times. You dig what I'm saying? Without further ado, I kind of want to get to this video right here. Shout out to History Biography Mythology for putting this together. You dig what I'm saying? This is a pretty dope little, history doc. You dig what I'm talking about? And just to break down some of this information, you dig what I'm saying, to give a deeper insight to actually what was going on. Because, they paint this picture like everything was just hunky-dory and, it was a little tough over here, you know what I mean? They came over here, they got with the Indians, it was all cool, you know what I mean? And now, hey, listen, man. This guy, man. Hold on, listen. I'm going to kill my dog. This is the 5th charger you chewed up, little dog. Little dog. No. We're not friends no more. I don't even like you right now. Nope. Get away from me. And let's blow this up a little bit. Put a little volume on this thing, man. Let's get into some of this history about this so-called holy day called Thanksgiving. Let's get into some of the roots of where it actually come from. This is the origin and the history of the first Thanksgiving. Let's go.
The Pilgrims first arrived to the Americas. They struggled to survive in the New World. And the friendly local Native Americans shared their crops and their provisions with them and taught them how to survive. Then, in the season of the harvest of 1621, the Pilgrims invited the Native Americans and they all gathered to celebrate with a feast, where they ate, sang kumbaya, and had a really jolly good time. While this may be how Thanksgiving is celebrated today, sadly, it is a rather sanitized version of the first Thanksgiving story. Because the real story behind the holiday is far from jolly and peaceful and could you pass me the gravy, please? So this Thanksgiving, along with showing gratitude, let's also take a little time to acknowledge the real history and origins of this cherished holiday. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like. Now it all started in the old town of Plymouth, England, where at the time, England required its citizens to belong to the Church of England. But a group of people...
Yeah, while we speaking on that, man, thumb up the video, man. Share the live out real quick. You dig what I'm talking about? Just Share the live on your platform, your Facebook, your IG, your Twitter, your whatever it is. You did what I'm talking about, your Twitch, your Discord, whatever it may be. Share the live out of there, man. We're gonna do a countdown real quick. Countdown from 5. You did what I'm talking about. Thumb up the video first and then share it. For everybody in here, man. You know what I mean? Let's get some people in here. You did what I'm saying? Of course, I'm gonna always teach those who want to be here and listen. You know, but let's go ahead and try to get this light out there to the masses, y'all. On countdown to 5, y'all share it out real quick. Make sure y'all done thumbed up, and make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. I was looking at my thing that over 63% of my the people who actually watch the show, right, is not subscribed to the show. So a lot of people watch it, but they don't subscribe, man. Support the channel, man. You know what I mean? Don't be a hater, be a congratulator and a participator. You dig what I'm saying? With that being said, you know what I mean? Let's count down real quick. Everybody get that share button real quick. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Share. Share it out. Blast it out right now, y'all. Let's go. We're just going to keep on cooking.
English Protestants who identified as separatists wanted to practice their religious beliefs freely. So in pursuit of religious freedom, these citizens did leave England, but didn't yet come to America to find their sanctuary. They fled to Holland, Netherlands, and settled in the city of Leiden, where they encountered an almost unheard of religious tolerance in that day and age. Now, it is a popular belief that the Pilgrims or Separatists came to America in search of religious freedom, but if that was the case, they would have never left Holland, as they found their sanctuary there already. The primary motive that propelled these people to come to the Americas was hardship. Like tens of millions of newcomers who would follow in their steps over the centuries, the Pilgrims were economic migrants.
She's not lying. They were serfs, broke, poor, indentured, peonage to the land, and in peonage to the crown. This is absolutely true. They were escaping hardships along with religious persecution. They try to put it up there like it was just religious persecution. No, y'all was broke. You dig what I'm talking about? And they just they took a shot, had to get up out of there. You dig what I'm talking about? No different than a Mexican crossing the border today, or one of the people from Honduras, or anybody from Western Africa dying, holding on to the bottom of ships, trying to get into America today to become an American. No difference, right? They always been dying to get to the land of milk and honey.
Migrants. In the years living in Leiden, these pilgrims were working in textile industries. Of course, they left behind all they had in England, and now former farmers were living in poverty, laboring long hours, making clothes. And at the end of it all, they made low wages and realized they didn't really possess anything beyond their religious freedom in Leiden. And along with the economic hardship, these pilgrims also feared their youth was being corrupted by the secular Dutch society, leading them to turn away from the church and from their English identities. Now, unable to return to England, the pilgrims searched for another safe haven, and found it across the Atlantic Ocean to America, where English merchants had been financing colonial settlements for decades now. For the pilgrims, settling in America would mean they could worship freely, have greater economic stability, preserve their English identity, and also evangelize to the Native Americans and spread the gospel in the New World. But how would they go? They were living in so much poverty already, there was no way they could afford a journey like this. This is where the Virginia Company comes in. The Virginia Company had launched England's first commercial outpost in America, like that of Jamestown, and their motives were to exploit and profit from the new land. and the Pilgrims made ideal candidates to establish a New World colony, as they were united, industrious, and accustomed to hardship. So, receiving a patent from the Virginia Company to establish a settlement in its jurisdictions, a group of businessmen, called the Merchant Adventurers, financed the voyage, however, expected a return on their investment.
We need a number.
Get Hulu for 99 cents per month for a year.
This is happening.
Or get Hulu and Disney Plus for $2.99 per month for a year.
The Pilgrims were to work for the company during a 7-year contract in which they received 1 share of all profits. To make this voyage, these investors paid for the Mayflower. And not only the Pilgrims, but other economic migrants, of whom all shared the same quest of prosperity and financial stability, set off to the Americas in 1620. Now, the Mayflower would be sailing for a couple months on their way to what is now New York City. But you and I can reach there in a snap of a finger. Ta-da! Long before the Pilgrims would come to the east coast of America, these areas were inhabited by several Native American tribes. The area around which the first Thanksgiving feast took place is known as southeastern Massachusetts and eastern Rhode Island. This is where the tribe of the Wampanoag people lived for over 12,000 years. The native people knew the land well and were skilled in fishing, hunting, and harvesting crops for thousands of generations. In fact, some even learned English from other European settlers who visited the region before the arrival of the Mayflower. Are they here yet? Land ahoy! Turned out the journey across the sea wasn't as great as the Pilgrims thought it would be. The 66-day journey, crossing through a storm and heavy winds, forced them to cut their trip short. And eventually, the captain thought it best to drop the anchor near the tip of Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Winters in the east coast of America has always been brutal. And just to imagine what it was like in 1620 without my cozy electric heater gives me the chills, literally. To escape the cold winter, many colonists decided to stay on board, but only ended up suffering from scurvy and outbreaks of contagious diseases. Others tried to gather whatever they could, little were they successful, and by the time spring arrived, only half of the passengers remained. These remaining settlers then moved ashore, where they planned to establish their new English town of Plymouth. And it was here that they were visited by a special member of the Abenaki tribe, who, surprise, surprise, spoke English. Samoset, a leader of the Abenaki people, Tisquantum, or Squanto, was from the Wampanoag tribe. Squanto had been kidnapped by an English sea captain and sold into slavery in London. There he learned the ways of the English and also their language. But eventually...
Now, it's a lesson to be learned from people like Squanto. You dig what I'm talking about? This is what a coon looks like. This is what a turncoat actually looks like. You dig what I'm talking about? Many times, what I'm just trying to get y'all to understand and see that many times your greatest enemy look just like you. You dig what I'm talking about? And dodge the hijack. If y'all think these people coming over here from London, England, Brittany, or whatever, got pale faces, think again. Many of them people, they have been written back in history and iconoclast and made pale faces. Many of these people, like your boy who got off of here, of this Protestant stock, named Cotton Mather, is clearly what you would call a Negro. Clearly. Right? So when it is that they ask the question, well, how did they, infiltrate over here, man? They looked just like you. Right? Smooth talking with the Bible in one hand and the pistol in the other. Didn't they always tell you they were smiling in your face, but all the time they wanted to take your place? I better listen.
Managed to escape and return to his homeland on an exploratory expedition. By this point, the Pilgrims were weak, suffering from malnutrition and illness, and if it were not for Squanto and the natives he brought to their assistance, most likely they would have all died.
I'm offering you the opportunity of a lifetime.
Get Max for $2.99 a month for 6 months.
I'm gonna make you so happy.
Max, only $2.99 a month for 6 months. Offer ends Monday.
Not bad.
The natives taught the Pilgrims how to cultivate corn, extract sap from maple trees, catch fish in the rivers, and avoid poisonous plants, of many other things. Squanto also helped the Pilgrims forge an alliance with the Wampanoag. Their leader, Massasoit, first negotiated a treaty in which was an agreement that no one from either group of the Pilgrims or the natives would harm anyone from the other. They also agreed to leave their weapons at home when trading to further ensure peaceful commerce. And to this, the Pilgrims agreed and were at the time living in harmony.
Want you to dodge the hijack on this picture. This is not an actual representation of Massasoit, right? Now, whether you believe he was a Mongoloidal native or whether you know, like I know, that he was Algonquin and Negroidal, either way, this guy right here in actuality is copper colored. My color. You dig what I'm talking about? He brown. So, don't get caught up in the pictures and the iconoclasm, you know what I mean? Just understand that, that in fact, many of these people are your people. You dig what I'm talking about? Algonquin-based people. A lot of people just don't get it. Let me break it down to you. There's primarily 3 people in the Americas, right? And just a quick overview. There are Algonquins who are Negroidal. There are Iroquoians who are Mongoloidal. And there are Siouan people, right, who are admixed either way, right? The admixture from these Algonquin peoples go on to produce different forms of Algic language like Muskogee, right? This is how many of the Siouan people, right? We know they're Siouan, but they speak Algonquin-based languages like the Lakota. You dig what I'm talking about? Who you can clearly tell is niggas too. You dig what I'm saying? They got that up in them. You dig what I'm saying? Siouan mean admix. You know what I mean? So just understand when he talking about these languages, it follows the same kind of tone. One is they're all well, in a sense, they're all Aboriginal, except the Iroquois. Now, when they got they start here, yeah, you did what I'm talking about. You would be native, you're just not Aboriginal. You know what I mean? So I'm not taking nothing away from them, some of them. You did what I'm talking about? I would give some of them been over here, 1,000 years. You did what I'm saying? I would give them that. Some of them been over here 1,000 years, and some even before that. But primarily the Iroquois type people are your Mongoloidal types and descend from Inuit types and different admixtures between different Siouan types and different Algonquin types back into each other. And then throw in some white people later on, and Africans, and then you got a recipe for goulash because everybody is up in that thing. You dig what I'm talking about? And depending on who you was mixing back with, primarily is soy stock. So we see them primarily European and Asian today on the reservations. I just didn't want y'all to get stuck by what the picture looked like, right? Get past the lookership because it's in fact not true. And we got to understand too that even in the stories that the historical narratives Many of them got a lot of falsity, a little extra added, little extra paprika they didn't put off in that thing. You dig what I'm talking about? They didn't season it heavy sometimes. You know what I mean? So don't get caught up in the colorism and the lookership, y'all.
By November 1621, the Pilgrims' first corn harvest proved successful. Popularly, it is believed the Pilgrims invited the natives for a friendly banquet. However, many historians report otherwise. The Pilgrims had intended to celebrate for the harvest and set out to hunt. However, when the Wampanoag heard gunshots, they alerted their leader, Massasoit, who thought the English might be preparing for war. Massasoit visited the English settlement with 90 of his men to confirm if the rumors were true. But it was then he realized the matter and sent some of his own men to hunt deer for the feast. Much of what we know about the first Thanksgiving comes from the Pilgrim chronicler Edward Winslow, who wrote, "Our harvest being gotten in, our governor sent 4 men on fowling, so that we might, after a special manner, rejoice together. After we had gathered the fruits of our labor, they 4 in one day killed as much fowl as with a little help beside, served the company almost a week, at which time, amongst other recreations, we exercised our arms. Many of the Indians coming amongst us, and amongst the rest their greatest king, Massasoit, with some 90 men, whom for 3 days we entertained and feasted, and they went out and killed 5 deer, which they brought to the plantation and bestowed on our governor, and upon the captain and others. And although it be not always so plentiful as it was at this time with us, yet be the goodness of God, we are so far from want that we often wish you partakers of our plenty." For 3 days, the Pilgrims and the native people ate, played games, sang, and celebrated. And this was a peaceful start to the years to come in which Massasoit and the Pilgrims remained allies, trading goods to the Wampanoag and having access to natural resources and other assets. However, this peace only lasted about a decade. It would be an understatement to say the Pilgrims, or the settlers, did not get along with the natives.
Let me show you how to block this ad. First, you're going to click on this video, then you're going to download Pi. It's an ad blocker that's
Little by little, though indebted to the Wampanoag, these very people took over their land. And eventually, this turned to oppression. Native Americans were hunted down and virtually exterminated by the colonists during these centuries following their initial arrival. And if that wasn't enough, disease spread by the newcomers decimated the native population. In the years between 1630 and 1642, about 25,000 European colonizers arrived, while a devastating plague cut the native population by more than half. Tensions further arose after Massasoit passed away in 1661.
I want y'all to understand that that's the Native American population. That has nothing to do with the American Indians. The nigga already had vaccinations. We already had a way to inoculate ourselves of this yellow fever, of these measles, of these mumps. And think about it. We descend from Mayan, Olmec, Incan stocks, which produce the highest forms of sickle cell trait, which cures the which is anemia, is a blood disorder, but it's also helps you deal with malaria and different types of different diseases that become common to an area. You dig what I'm saying? And the American Negro is the only people in the world, right, who has a sickle cell count as high as the Mayans and the Olmecs. You dig what I'm saying? So we Indian by blood. You dig what I'm talking about? It's not, we just making these claims. We can prove it with no other thing than sickle cell. Right? This did kill off a lot of Native Americans, right? But not necessarily a lot of American Indians. We got to dodge the hijack, y'all.
And his son, Wamsutta, took over. In 1662, Wamsutta visited the Pilgrims to negotiate the troubled situation, but mysteriously died. And things only got worse from there under Wamsutta's successor, Metacomet.
Shout out Metacomet. Metacomet is who they eventually end up calling King Philip. Right? And King Philip took these boys to war. You dig what I'm talking about? There wasn't no lay down. Didn't nobody enslave you over here. You dig what I'm talking about? If somebody got down on your people, understand that your people fought first. Other than that, they ran and they couldn't be caught. Right? A lot of people you're going to see in the story, or if you go back and do the history, when they got there, the people seen them, but by the time they got on land, there was nobody in the villages. So they burned the villages. Right? Burned the cities. You dig what I'm saying?
Muhammad was not to stand back and watch his people being oppressed. He ordered raids against the colonies, and what followed was the murder of an English interpreter. As a consequence, the settlers too executed 3 of Metacomet's men. By 1675, this conflict led to an all-out war between the colonists and the natives, and what resulted was more than catastrophic. And this war became known as the King Philip's War, as the colonists gave the English moniker of King Philip to Metacomet. On top of the famine and disease, raids grew increasingly common. Abductions, slaughter, razing, and pillaging became everyday affairs. There were casualties on both sides, however. Evidently unequipped with modern weaponry, the natives found themselves in a more helpless position, whereas the colonists were equipped with guns and had the privilege of relocating to more fortified settlements. The Wampanoags' homes were obliterated, their way of life was destroyed, and their communities perished, and they were forced to leave their villages and flee. This was a battle between a technologically superior civilization against vulnerable communities that stood little chance against such foreign power. Metacomet was eventually killed. His remaining allies were either executed or sold in slavery, as was his wife and children. The colonists impaled his head on a spike and displayed it in Plymouth, where for 20 years it remained in its place, serving as a warning for those who dare rise against the conquering ambition of the colonies. By the time the chaos had come to an end, the colonists lost around 30% of their people, while nearly half of the Native American population was annihilated. But this was but one conflict between native peoples and the colonizers.
I'm your football-obsessed best man. When all eyes are on you, my eyes are glued to the game.
Other wars raged in Virginia, Connecticut, New York, and elsewhere since the Europeans arrived since Christopher Columbus. If you would like to learn more about this, check out my video on Christopher Columbus. These settlers had traveled in pursuit of a new world, but in fact, it turned out to be the end of one, as the native population suffered tremendously, from which they never recovered. On the other hand, eventually, what was land and home to these indigenous people became known as America. In 1789, the first president, George Washington, issued the first Thanksgiving proclamation by the national government of the United States, calling upon Americans to express their gratitude for the happy conclusion of the country's War of Independence and the successful ratification of the U.S. Constitution. But it wasn't until the 19th century that the modern Thanksgiving holiday started to take shape. In 1846, Sarah Josepha Hale, editor of the magazine called Godey's Lady's Book, campaigned for an annual national Thanksgiving holiday. And finally, in 1863, President Abraham Lincoln declared 2 national Thanksgiving, one in August to commemorate the Battle of Gettysburg during the Civil War, and the other in November to give thanks for general blessings, the one that is still celebrated today. While most Americans celebrate this day as a lighthearted festival, some Native Americans group view Thanksgiving as a national day of mourning for their people and their heritage. Be as it may, Thanksgiving today has lost much of its original religious significance and is generally celebrated for things like human kindness, mutual friendship, and thankfulness. If you liked our video, don't forget to subscribe and follow our channel for more videos like this one.
All right. We gonna, we just gonna reload real quick. You dig what I'm talking about? Shout out to my baby mama chief. Shout out to all the mama chiefs out there. You dig what I'm talking about? Who got up today, cooked dinner for their family, loved on them. You dig what I'm saying? Shout out to all the mama chiefs, y'all.
Shout out to the mama chief. Yeah, you be quiet when Big Mama speak. What she gave us is a part of me. It flows through my arteries. Even on that journey, that love grows how the garden be. The first to teach us when we sick, the first to heal us. Mama's boy, yeah, you know, her pride and joy. Soul food, yeah, you know, I'm an enjoy. Calm you down just by the sound of a voice. There isn't another feeling inside when they cheering you on at your game and you feeling the pride. You and your siblings fighting, she gon' make you put them feelings aside. She can't lead you down the road, but she can give you the guide. Where you think I get that blissful look in my eyes? I need a side of ice cream with them mom's apple pie. You know for sure for Mama Chief, you know I'ma ride. Cause we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all love our Mama Chiefs. The greatness, the patience, the foundation, the knowledge passed down so many generations, our motivation. I just want to thank you for my creation, cause we all love our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all ride for Mama Chief. The dedication, I seen your tears at my graduation. Now look, your boy that made it. You the reason I'm one of the greatest. Yeah, cause we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all love our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all ride for Mama Chief. Now be quiet, let Big Mama speak.
Now, one of the major parts they don't tell you what was going on at the same time and I showed y'all that just to give you some background or just the basics. You dig what I'm talking about? Wasn't no fluff in there, you know what I mean? No extras. She ain't add nothing in there. Just told what it was, and that's why I showed that. But you got to understand at the same time, right? Your enemy plays from both ends. You dig what I'm talking about? And it's always divide and conquer. And they always play both sides against the middle. You dig what I'm talking about? And what that ends up in is commonly was known as the Pequot Wars. You dig what I'm talking about? It's commonly known as the Pequot Wars. And this war is the true understanding what was going on at the time of quote unquote Thanksgiving in America, right? At the founding of this Thanksgiving in this first harvest for the pilgrims of Europe who came over here. You dig what I'm talking about? This is their first time. This is old as dirt to us, right? But at that same time, right, they gave you all the fluff, right? But let's go see what was really going on at that time. What Master Seward and all them boys was really on, right? Because behind the backdrop of this old holier than thou Thanksgiving holiday is a bunch of blood and war, right? Which ends up in a war, one of the very first wars in mass with the European, called the Anglo-Pequot War, right? And this is the backdrop of what was really going on in Thanksgiving. Let's get into it, y'all. Let's get into it.
Pequot War can be found in the American fur trade. Both Europeans and natives competed relentlessly to control the most profitable routes. The four main factions of this story are the Dutch, the Pequot, the Narragansett, and the English. The Dutch controlled the Hudson River, but profits were lower than expected until they discovered the secret to a lucrative fur trade, wampum. These beads were used as a currency by the Dutch. It was bought cheap on the coasts and sold for pelts upriver. The Pequots controlled most of the wampum industry and had been expanding their territory due to trade, their military prowess, and political consolidation under Grand Sacom Tatobem. The Narragansett also managed wampum production. To exploit this would create high tensions with their Pequot neighbors. In the meantime, Plymouth Colony was struggling in the fur trade. But New England continued to grow. 1,000 settlers arrived in the Great Migration of 1630, including John Winthrop, the governor of the newly chartered Massachusetts Bay Colony. His Puritan government purchased lots of land from natives to make room for the influx of settlers. In 1631, Narragansett Sacom Miantonomo, nephew of Grand Sacom Canonicus, visited Boston.
What? His name Canonicus? That sound Latin to me. If Canonicus sound Latin in German or Latin in Roman, maybe even Greek to you, right? Canonicus. If that sounds Greek or Latin based to you, hit me with a 1 in the chat, because this show sound Latin based to me. I'm just saying.
Visited Boston and established a commercial relationship. They were now trading as middlemen for the English. In 1632, the Pequots invited the Dutch to set up trade posts on the Connecticut River. Then 1633 happened. A plague spread from New England. Both the Pequots and Narragansett were weakened. The Dutch purchased land from Tatobem upriver, closer to the furs flowing south. A fort was erected, the House of Good Hope.
Y'all see, it wasn't all this, you did what I'm talking about, I'm just about to kill you and take this and all that. No, they was paying for land, and people and the chiefs in them was selling out. You did what I'm talking about, and selling these people land because they was coming in acting like they was friendly. Remember, they had a Bible in one hand. They had a Bible in one hand, and they had that what they call them first guns, arquebus, huh? Your very first shotguns in the other hand. You dig what I'm saying? Remember that. And many times, I know they show you a white boy, huh? A white boy come over here, but remember, iconoclasm is real, and these people are writing themselves back in history. You dig what I'm saying? So a lot of these people that they're presenting to you as pale-faced Europeans are actually brown-skinned white folks. White just mean Christian and European. It's not a racial classification. Let's go.
This trade post was to be a zone of peace and commerce for all Americans and Europeans. Plymouth officials heard of the fort's construction and went to Boston for a meeting with the Bay leaders. They wished to build a shared trade post north of Good Hope.
I see them ones coming in. Yeah, Canonicus. Canonicus sound like it's, he's a Roman gladiator or a Greek Spartan or something. Canonicus. You dig what I'm saying? It definitely sound like a Latin-based name to me. You dig what I'm talking about? Makes sense, especially when you understand that when DeSoto met the son of Tuscaloosa, who's by the name, the son of Tuscaloosa is named Black Panther. Never mind that they say the nigga was roughly about 7 feet tall. But you dig what I'm saying? This is the source of your Black Panther, your Wakanda, or your Wakan, or the spirit that the power that the Great Spirit moves with here in America, is right here in America. Your Black Panther has nothing to do with Africa. Hate to bust that bubble, right? Black Panther is the son of Tuscaloosa, the giant black Indian warrior. That's what his name means. Giant black warrior. Tuscaloosa. That sink in for a second.
To cut off the Dutch from the pelts coming down river, but the Bay leaders refused. We think
now, see, I like this. I like this type of stuff because this type of stuff tell you what was going behind the scenes, why certain Indian chiefs did what they did, the moves that they was making, really what was going on, because they wasn't no punks. They wasn't laying down. And like you said, they the Europeans came over here with superior weaponry. You know what I mean? They already had guns. You know, so imagine seeing a gun for the first time. You know, shoot.
The land is not fit to meddle with, Winthrop said. Winthrop lied. The truth was the Bay did not want to share Connecticut with Plymouth. Winthrop sent recon missions to scout the area, including one led by tradesman John Oldham. They returned with fruitful news. Meanwhile, Plymouth, unaware of Winthrop's plans, went ahead alone to build missions to scout the land is not fit to meddlers. They wished to build a shared trade post north of Good Hope to cut off the Dutch from the pelts coming down river. But the Bay leaders refused. We think the land is not fit to meddle with, Winthrop said. Winthrop lied. The truth was the Bay did not want to share Connecticut with Plymouth. Winthrop sent recon missions to scout the area.
He lied. Simple.
Including one led by tradesman John Oldham. They returned with fruitful news. Meanwhile, Plymouth, unaware of Winthrop's plans, went ahead alone to build a trade house above Good Hope. Ignoring threats from the Dutch, they built their post 1 mile north. Around this time, the Pequots broke their treaty with the Dutch by killing some rivals trading at Good Hope. Furious, the Dutch held Tatubem hostage until his men paid a large ransom for his release. The ransom was paid, but they killed him anyway. The Pequots retaliated, exacting revenge by killing the captain and crew of a European trade ship. Unfortunately, the traders were not Dutch, they were English. The murdered captain was an infamous privateer named John Stone. Captain Stone was a notorious dirtbag. In his last year alive, he stole a Plymouth trade ship, tried to stab Plymouth's governor, got Puritans of Boston drunk, committed adultery, slandered a Boston official, and was exiled from the Bay for good. His death was mourned by nobody. After killing Stone, the Pequots tried to resume trade with the Dutch. It did not go well. To make matters worse, the Narragansett declared war against them. Sassacus, son of Tatubem and now Grand Seacom, could not keep a firm grip on the Confederation.
That's another one. Sassacus. That sounds... Sassacus, Pequot Grand Sachem. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds Greek to me. Sounds Latin. It makes sense because Black Panther spoke to DeSoto in what? Latin. Let that sink in. The son of an Indian chief met a Spanish man for the very first time, ever time seeing one. And when he opened his mouth, he spoke Latin. So much so that DeSoto could understand him. And this is per his chronicler, Ronaldo Ranjal. Y'all check that out, man. But this sure sounds Latin-based to me. Sassacus.
Could not keep a firm grip on the Confederation, and several Seacoms defected, including Uncas of the Mohegans. Ambitious and cunning, he would grow to become a threat. The Pequots were in trouble. To counter their loss of power, they turned to Boston. In October 1634, they sent ambassadors to negotiate a treaty. They offered all of their trade and the rights to settle in Connecticut in return for the beige trade and friendship. Boston agreed, but only if Captain Stone's murderers were handed over. The envoy said the murder was justified because Stone had kidnapped 2 of their warriors. Boston also demanded more wampum than the Pequot ambassadors had authority to give. They said they would speak to Sassacus about the difficult demands and sign the treaty. This treaty was significant, but the original text has not survived. The Puritans claimed it was put into action when it was signed, but according to the Pequots, it was never ratified by their own council. The ambassadors may have signed the deal, but they did not have the authority to endorse it. Trade commenced between the 2 factions, but it was a disappointment. However, the English did broker a peace deal between the Narragansett and Pequots, and the rights to settle in Connecticut Valley were capitalized upon. 3 English towns were established on the river, causing problems for everyone. By summer 1636, trouble began to brew. Uncas told Plymouth traders that the Pequots were planning to attack the new towns. The warning was taken very seriously by the Boston magistrates, who instructed Winthrop Jr., now governor of Connecticut at Saybrook Fort, to call a meeting with Pequot leaders and demand the murderers of Captain Stone and the 400 fathoms of wampum. If these demands were not met, Boston would annul the treaty and take revenge for the blood spilled. The outcome of this meeting is obscure. Even so, the Pequots left believing they had honored the deal and continued to have discourse with the English at Saybrook. For the Bay Colony, no more friendship was owed to the Pequots, but relations continued unchanged. A few days later, John Oldham was killed off of Block Island. This was Narragansett territory, and Canonicus quickly sent messengers to Boston with condolences and reported that Miantonomo was leading 200 warriors to avenge the murder. To further escape blame, they told the English that some of the killers had fled to the Pequots for protection. This was probably a lie, but Boston used it as an excuse to force the proud Pequots into submission. They prepared a punitive expedition. Led by Captain Endicott, 90 volunteer soldiers first sailed towards Block Island. Their orders were to kill all the men, capture the women and children, and take plunder. The islanders put up a fight on the beach, but quickly melted into the swamps to escape capture and death. The soldiers had to be content with burning the deserted villages. Gathering his troops, Endicott commenced the 2nd stage of the mission, sailing to Pequot country to demand, once again...
Didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you the people fought the whole time? The people fought the whole time. They never stopped fighting. Really, not until 1968. But then you still had to go through the Detroit riots. They never stopped fighting. For the most part, the whole slavery thing had something to do with indenturement of your own family. Your fathers owned their own daughters. Mothers owned their own sons. That's how a lot of that went. Indenture is a job. Right? So much of what we're learning about the narrative of slavery is in fact false. And you see that these people wasn't laying down and fighting. Laying down, going off into the sweet night silently. Like these people, like you said, like I was showing you, these people way out here. They way out here. Look where they at. They on Block Island. Right? They way out here. Right? By the time they get to the villages and all that stuff, the people are gone. So, you know what I mean? The warriors would have just been left here. So they was burning empty cities, villages and whatnot.
Gathering his troops, Endicott commenced the 2nd stage of the mission, sailing to Pequot country to demand, once again, the murderers of Captain Stone, 1,000 fathoms of wampum for damages, and child hostages. As the English arrived on the coast, they were cordially greeted. But when they didn't respond to any questions, the Pequots grew wary. They sent an elder on board Endicott's ship to parley. The captain issued his demands. The elder said they were impossible to meet, for it was none other than Grand Seacom Sassacus who had killed John Stone to avenge his father's death. To give up Sassacus was something the Pequots could not do. Dissatisfied, the English soldiers went ashore to await a local Saycom. Becoming impatient and fearing a trap, the troops opened fire on the locals. The villagers quickly fled, and Endicott razed their homes to the ground before sailing back to Boston. The Anglo-Pequot War had just begun.
You need easy-to-apply DTF transfers from Ninja Transfers. Any design, any color, on any material. You don't get that with other transfers.
But if you say anything about Jewish people, you get canceled. They, look what they did to Kanye.
I want to go into part 2 of this. Fair use, fair use.
The Puritans' attack on the Pequots could not go unanswered. Retaliatory measures commenced immediately, aimed at Saybrook Fort, where Commander Lyon Gardiner was forced to endure a constant siege. No one traveling outside the fort was safe. Undermanned and low on provisions, Gardiner needed help. But none would come from Massachusetts. The magistrates were threatened and distracted by the Antinomian controversy, an internal theological struggle led by Anne Hutchinson. She attacked the clerical authority of Boston and demanded all of their attention. Meanwhile, Pequot Grand Sachem Sassacus made his next move, sending envoys to his old enemies, the Narragansett. His purpose? To forge an alliance between the two nations in an all-out guerrilla war against the English. Alarmed at such a prospect, John Winthrop and Henry Vane employed the services of a man they had banished under pain of death. His mission was to intervene in the negotiations and prevent a Pequot-Narragansett alliance. This outcast turned special agent was Roger Williams. Williams was a zealous minister who clashed with Boston upon his arrival to New England. He attacked the Massachusetts Bay's patent, blamed unclean magistrates for polluting the congregation, and bashed their grounds for occupying Native American lands. Finally, the magistrates had enough and voted he be exiled to England. But Winthrop had the foresight to see the usefulness of keeping Williams close by as an informant. He was fluent in the Algonquin language after all, and a friend to the Narragansett. Winthrop could use him to gather intelligence that would prove invaluable. He alerted Williams to the banishment and allowed him to flee south, where he settled on land he purchased from Canonicus the previous year. Williams now urged Canonicus to join with the Puritans, but the old sovereign distrusted Europeans and refused to be swayed. He showed no favor toward the Pequots, however, and warned the envoys that war would be reckless. Not even an alliance could turn back the English tide. His nephew and successor, Miantonomo, was easier to deal with. The young, energetic sachem was well disposed toward the English and was called to Boston to sign a treaty with the Bay Colony. They were to be bound in war against the Pequots.
Hold on, let me go back and see what that say. What that say? It says, Articles of the treaty, a firm peace between us and our friends of other plantations, if they consent and if they're blank. I can't see what they say. If they will observe the articles, etc., and our posterities. Neither party to make peace with the Pequots. So they dealing with the Narragansetts. They telling them to not make peace with the Pequots while they're going to go behind their back and make peace with the Pequots. Watch. This is crazy. Neither party to make peace with the Pequots without the other's consent. Right? Not to harbor, etc., the Pequots, to put to death or deliver over murderers, to return our fugitive servants, we to give them notice when we go against the Pequots, and they to send us some guides, free trade between us. And it says, hold on, let me see what that say. None of them to come near our plantations during the wars with the Pequots without some Englishman or known Indian. Everything is on their side. You see that? Huh? Who went for these terms? Huh? He had to be on some sucker shit. Who would go for these terms? Nothing is in your favor. Crazy.
They were to be bound in war against the Pequots. Saybrook Fort remained under siege throughout the winter. In April 1637, Pequots approached the fort to parley. This question was important. It was not customary for Algonquins to kill non-combatants,
go back.
but they had reasons to suspect that the English might.
I gotta go back. We asked him.
Saybrook Fort remained under siege throughout the winter. In April 1637, Pequots approached the fort to parley.
He said in Algonquin, he asked him, have you fought enough? You dig what I'm talking about? You got your fill of blood yet? Let's see what he say. He said, not yet. The Algonquin said, do you kill women and children? Watch what he say.
This question was important. It was not customary for Algonquins to kill non-combatants, but they had reasons to suspect that the English might. Gardiner's answer was ominous and evasive.
You'll see. He said, what? We have killed Englishmen. We can kill them like mosquitoes. We will go to Connecticut and kill men, women, and children. They didn't fire these boys up.
The parley failed. 2 days later, 7 men under Captain John Mason arrived from the Connecticut towns. Captain John Underhill with 20 men came from Boston to reinforce the garrison. At Wethersfield, a local chief who was living under the protection of the settlers was abused by them and kicked off the land. He approached the Pequots for retribution. On April...
Do this sound like Thanksgiving to you? Do this sound like Thanksgiving to you? This sound like a Thanksgiving you want to be. Hit me with a 2 in the chat. If this is a Thanksgiving you don't want to be at, hit me with a 3 in the chat. I don't think I want to be here. You dig what I'm talking about? If you don't want to be at this place, hit me with a 3 in the chat. You dig what I'm saying? This is terrible.
April 23rd, they struck. In a lightning raid, they attacked the town, killing 6 men and 3 women. They took 2 girls captive, hoping they could make gunpowder. Connecticut's court responded, declaring offensive war against the Pequots. Captain Mason sailed back to Saybrook Fort with 90 soldiers. They were joined by Uncas, Grand Sachem of the Mohegans, and 70 of his warriors. Uncas reached...
I'm sad to say, I got Mohegan blood. Yeah, that nigga Uncas was a thug. And he was just doing what he was supposed to do. He was looking out for his people. And you dig what I'm talking about. Remember, you know, they telling one side don't do deals with the Pequots and all that stuff, but then they go do deals with the Pequots. You dig what I'm talking about? Remember, they said don't mess with the Pequots, but now the Pequots riding with them and it's okay. See? Tricky.
Reached Saybrook first, but was greeted skeptically by Gardiner, who questioned his loyalty and wanted proof of it. Uncas accepted his challenge. He delivered 4 heads and a live prisoner who had once lived at the fort. A Dutch ship arrived with intentions to trade with the Pequots. They were allowed to pass if they freed the 2 captive girls. They succeeded, and the girls gave valuable intelligence to the captains about the enemy. The 3 commanders now discussed how best to attack. Mason was commissioned to sail his men to Pequot River
didn't see that, did you?
village, Wine Shocks. But both Gardiner and Underhill did not think it was discussed how if they freed the 2 captains once lived at the fort.
Watch the conversation. I will stop it.
A Dutch ship arrived with intentions to trade with the Pequots. They were allowed to pass if they freed the 2 captive girls. They succeeded, and the girls gave valuable intelligence to the captains about the enemy.
The girl said they have 16 guns, but not much gunpowder. We saw at least 2 forts. And now watch what dog say. Was anyone naked? What's this?
The three commanders now discussed how
Whose man is this? Who is this guy? It says Underhill was weirdly obsessed with sex and asked the girls multiple detailed questions focusing on temptation and lust among the Pequots, rather than questions on important intel. The girls reported no foul play. They said they were treated well in captivity. Ain't that something? Huh? Ain't that something?
Now discussed how best to attack. Mason was commissioned to sail his men to Pequot River and assault Sassacus's village, Wineshocks, but both Gardner
make you ask the question, who's really the savage?
And Underhill did not think he was fit for the task. They all agreed that the element of surprise was vital to defeat the more numerous enemy. A new plan was devised. The army would sail to Narragansett Bay, hook up with Miantonomo, and attack the Pequots from the west. As this plan formalized, the antinomian movement collapsed. Winthrop was elected governor, ousting the antinomian Henry Vane. Finally, Boston could focus on the Pequots, and Winthrop sent 40 soldiers to Narragansett Bay. Mason and Underhill arrived first, asking for passage through the country. It was granted, and they marched west to Niantic. The next morning, Miantonomo arrived with his warriors, urging the Niantics to join the fight. About 500 Americans now accompanied the English. Their aim was to attack Fort Mystic, where 150 Pequot warriors had recently deployed to guard hundreds of women, children.
Some scholars think that the 150 reinforcing warriors did not exist, and that Mystic was filled with only women, children, and the elderly. He says, I agree with the historian Alfred Cave, who believed these reinforcements did not exist, and he uses substantial evidence to back up his claim.
Children and elderly. Miantonomo told the English captains that it would be pleasing to all natives if the women and children were spared. At dawn, the English and their allies began the assault. Mason and Underhill split their forces into 2 groups, intending to enter the fort at the same time. As they approached, the alarm was raised.
Getting inside!
The fighting was furious in the cramped streets. Captain Mason originally intended to kill the inhabitants with swords and save the plunder, but now he changed tactics.
We must burn them.
Underhill followed suit. Fires met in the middle, burning all the houses within a half hour. Any Pequot trying to escape, man, woman, or child, was cut down. Finally, the massacre ended. Between 400 and 700 Pequots were killed. The Allies were horrified. Never before had they seen such slaughter. The army was low on food, water, and ammunition. Urgently, they needed to reach Pequot Harbor, where their ships would be waiting to resupply them. The assault on Wineshocks would be delayed. For now, retreat was the only option. But as they marched, they encountered Pequot reinforcements, 300 warriors sent by Sassacus. When they saw the charred remains of Mystic, they were driven into a fit of despair and rage. They now launched themselves at the Puritans. This would be the battle to break the English army or the Pequot nation.
Right. So I wanted to give y'all a real understanding of what was going on in your Thanksgiving. You dig what I'm saying? This is what really was popping behind the scenes. It wasn't all hunky-dory. We just cheesing, smiling, chinning, and grinning all day. That's totally not what was going on. You dig what I'm saying? But if you're getting something up out of this, man, hit me with a vortex in the chat, man. We just gonna keep spinning. keep the vibe moving, man. Happy Harvest Day out there to everybody, man. Tell your loved ones you love them, and you did what I'm talking about. You did what I'm talking about. Tap at everybody. I love y'all out there. Y'all know who y'all are, and Cosmon got love for you. You dig what I'm saying? And with that being said, they not like us.
Creator gang is undefeated. Creator gang is undefeated. Know that. Know that. They not like us. Separate the real from the fake is a must. We stand on Creator and no God we trust. Team Kemet got crushed into powder and dust. Woo! Kemet looking bad now. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many men down? Look at us all running, ducking, trying to skip town. Now power one it in. You Hebrew, what you Kemet now? Siding with the people that enslaved your own people now? Chop you up into pieces and throw you in the river now. Bet you right beside you get ate by Kemetic crocodile. Look, we got them running, covering square miles. Scared to death, what's left? Only to take the crown. Get smashed down on your own stomping ground. We took over like the Hicks on your turf doing a disco. 2-stepping, no half-stepping with the info. You wouldn't even know the book of the dead, bro, if it wasn't for the translation done by my sparrow. Your time's narrow, semi-missiles blow out your arch arrows. Arches down, so goes the pharaoh. I saw him reading the glyphs like he an expert. But where he learned that from? This about to hurt. First translation came from Samuel Birch. European Egyptology gave you it first. You couldn't translate a bird to a word without looking up them European definition verbs. Y'all niggas acting like y'all blackity black. Frontin' to the people, man, y'all niggas actually whack. Your pathetic Kemetic creation meant it's a trap. The blind leading the blind with no actual facts. Shabario Saze, you saw for the Sade. Come to find out he followed Yahweh. That was your execution. You par Rosicrucian. Western thought you using. You are quite confusing. Don't know what you doing. How my eye got you moving. Right now you are losing. At your wake I'm viewing. R.I.P. communion. Mummy wrapped in ruin. OSP is ruling. Science has been proven. All motion moving. You live in an illusion. Who you think you fooling? Think you need some schooling. It's like Reggie out here living in a ghost town. Walking around like I see dead people around. I don't believe in spirits, but I believe them now. Stuttering Stanley, you can have a seat now.
Stuttering Stanley, stuttering Stanley, stuttering Stanley, stuttering Stanley.
Freaky ass Kemet, they got 69 gods. Freaky ass Kemet, they got 69 gods. Freaky ass Kemet, they got 69 gods. 69 gods, 69 gods. Freaky ass Kemet, they got 69 gods. Freaky ass Kemet, they got 69 gods. Freaky ass Kemet, they got 69 gods. 69 gods, 69 gods. Creator gang is undefeated. Creator gang is undefeated. And it's gonna remain that way. And it's gonna remain that way.
If you feel it, if you feel it.
In another daylight gunman, 2 youths were shot dead by unknown assailants in Kingston.
Out in the street, they call it.
Welcome to Jam Rock, camp where the thugs and camp at. Now it in a van back, it in a your handbag, your knapsack, it in a your backpack. The smell of your girlfriend. Some boy not know this. Them only come around like tourists on the beach with a few club sodas, bedtime stories, and pose like them name Chuck Norris. And don't know the real hardcore, cause sandals are no back to. The thugs them way to where them got to, and won't think twice to don't make them spot you, unless you carry a lot too. A dear tough thing come at you when trench town man stop laugh and block off traffic. Then them we learn, and them start it. With the pin file long and it a beat traffic. Police come in a jeep and them can't stop it. Some say them a playboy rabbit. Get chopped like a bad habit. So no bother post stuff if you don't have it. Rastafari stands alone. Welcome to Jam Rock. Hey. Welcome to Jam Rock.
Out in the street, they call it.
Welcome to Jam Down, where people are dead at random. Political violence can't done. Pure ghosts and phantom. The youth them get blind by stardom. Now the king of kings are called. Whole man to picnic. So wave on no one if you with me. To see this operation sick me. Them suit not fit me. To win election, them trick with them down to nothing at all. Come on, let's face it. I get our education's basic, and most of the youth them waste it. And when them waste it, that's when them take the replace it. Then them don't stand a chance at all. And that's why enough little youth have up some fat with the extra in a them back pocket, and a bleach at night time in a some black jacket. All who not lock, set them a lock. Them we pull you up a current like a shock socket. Them we run a road block which but the cops block it. And from now till a morning no stop clock it. If them run out of it's a broke back ratchet. South side, north side. Welcome to Jam Rock. East Coast, West Coast. Yo. Welcome to Jam Rock. Cornwall, Middlesex, and Surrey, y'all. Hey. Welcome to Jam Rock.
Out in the street, they call it
Jamaica, Jamaica. Jamaica, Jamaica. Jamaica, Jamaica. Jamaica, Jamaica. Welcome to Jam Rock. Welcome to Jam Rock. Welcome to Jam Rock. Welcome to Jam Rock. Welcome to Jam Rock.
Yeah, just picking up the vibes, man. Just picking up the vibes. Let's get it cracking.
Yeah, the game coming, creator came coming. Turning up the light and watching boys start running. Let me tell you something, we ain't out here doing nothing. I can tell you scared, boy, niggas stop fronting. It was all in the plan.
Create a gang is crazy. Boy, y'all better pay attention.
Boy, y'all better pay attention. Trying to tell you something. You dig what I'm talking about. We're going to go ahead, let the vibe keep cooking. One more minute, man. We just going to get back into some more information on this holiday. You dig what I'm talking about. This harvest season. You dig what I'm talking about. This is the end of the harvest season holiday. You dig what I'm talking about with your boy Cosmoney and Cal, the cloud kicker himself. You dig what I'm talking about. Light up your splipper teams, man. We're going to go ahead and jump up into this Creative Gang anthem real quick. You dig what I'm talking about. This thing is dope. Let's go. I'll open up the lines. Anybody want to come on in, man? Jump on.
So night, the Creator Gang shines bright, guiding us with all their might. Trumpets sound across the sky as we raise our voices high, praising the one most high under the Oasis watchful eye. We sing songs of love and grace in this sacred space. For the Creator Gang we embrace, their wisdom we chase, with trumpets playing in tune under the silvery moon. We dance until the morning sun, this connection never undone. Harmony in every beat, our faith is concrete. Through the pages of the OSP, ancient wisdom on display, teaching us the righteous way, leading us to a brighter day. With each trumpet blast, we're reminded of the past and the love that will ever last in this divine contrast. United in spirit, we uplift and hear it. We sing songs of love and grace in this sacred space. For the Creator Gang we embrace, their wisdom we chase, we embrace, their wisdom we chase. With trumpets playing in tune, under the silvery moon, we dance until the morning sun. This connection never undone. Never undone. Never undone.
Saw? Hold on. I told y'all to slow down, get ugly. Watch this.
Think that today, and it's time to revive those concepts as the biosphere thinks humans into existence. So we recognize the earth and have to take care of it. If it was just a floating mass, we could throw trash where we wanted and do what we wanted to do. And
what? What? What did he say?
Oh man.
What did he say? You could just throw trash anywhere and do what you as the earth thinks up, men. What?
And do what you want to do. If it was a floating mass.
All right, just get back into some more of this information real quick. I ain't gonna keep y'all long, man. It don't seem like y'all done probably caught the itis. Y'all sleepy. You dig what I'm talking about? You dig what I'm saying? Y'all ain't hitting on nothing, man. Y'all don't want to come talk about nothing. Y'all don't want to be about nothing. Y'all don't want to do nothing. You dig what I'm saying? But it's okay. This is from allcreation.org. Let's get into some more information. Let's make sure I can be heard. If I can be heard, throw a 4 in the chat. Hit me with a 4 in the chat, man. Hit me with a 4 in the chat. If y'all getting a little something up out of this. This is from allcreation.org. This is the Indigenous North Americas and harvest, right? Cosmo, I've been telling y'all for a long time that the Aboriginals here, and that the day that they call so-called Thanksgiving is actually a harvest festival day for the quote-unquote pagans or the Aboriginal Americans, praisers of the great spirit, of the great Ego Quim, right? The praisers of the false gods call you pagan, though, but they actually praise a god ignorantly, thinking a god can be the creator, right? That somebody in the shape, form, figure of a man who gets beat up by another man could possibly make the sun, moon, and stars. This is a Native American, and that's the hijack, but we understand, right? The American harvesting gathering, right? Let's dump into this real quick. Let me see if I can blow it up just so people can see it. Okay, let me go up a little bit. Okay, just a little more information on the background of where the holiday actually comes from. Long before white contact to the New World, the Native Americans had many kinds of celebrations for the what? The 4 seasons. One of the most celebrated for the Eastern woodland culture, right? Primarily Algonquin Negro types, was that of harvest time. Why? Because up here in America, especially in the North, we grew a lot of greens, and your greens don't even finish till early November. Yep. First 2 weeks of November, your greens is finishing up. 2 weeks later, you have a festival. End of harvest festival. One of the most celebrated for the Eastern woodland culture was that of harvest time. This festival was mainly indigenous to the eastern woodlands because of their strong agricultural base. Of course, these celebrations, actually, that's not true. Actually, that's not true. And anciently, they used to gather at a place at the many different times because why they chose this date on the East Coast is because even though in the South, where a lot of plants is still gonna finish, won't fully finish till December. You dig what I'm talking about? They had most of their crop already done. You dig what I'm talking about? Just like ours come off in October and it'd be pretty much only the greens left to November, right? Same thing then in the South, except theirs lasts till November and they finish off in December. You know what I'm saying? So even then, they would have came right in on time using the moon cycle. You would have just counted the time backwards. You would have just been 3 weeks earlier. And so they would have met at these places anyway. Well, I was hollering at Aeneas Pierce, guys, who was telling me he was going to come on the channel and he going to tell his story. Who was telling us that a story that matched what Owaspy is saying, that at one time, many people from around the country, Aboriginals, met in a place around Salt Lake, Utah, all of them. And it was kind of like an Olympics. You dig what I'm talking about? And they had, different trials and races and wrestling matches, all type of stuff going on. So, they would have brought their goods from wherever they was going to then too, besides just regular trade with those around them. You know what I mean? You got something I need, I got something you need. But at the end of the harvest, to give thanks to the Creator, the Great Spirit, they do a festival to praise him. You dig what I'm talking about? That's what this is about. You got to get back to the real spiritual root of everything, and you usually able to scratch a lie and find a little light of truth in there. And the light of truth in there is that this was a seen as a holy day and a festival day in praise to the Great Spirit. The great Wakantanka. The great Ego Quim. The great Iowa, Eowyn. The Yehovah. You dig what I'm saying? The Eowah. Right, the Great Spirit. Yeah, it was a festival to praise him, which is what made the day holy. Right, this festival was mainly indigenous to the eastern woodlands because of their strong agricultural base. Of course, these celebrations took place in autumn, but their actual time varied from place to place and was mainly dependent on the window of harvest time before the last hard killing frost. Exactly what I explained. Now, in the east, in the northeast, right? In the northeast and in my home, the Great Lakes, right? The harvest time began is now what is late August and lasted up into what I tell you, November. All our stuff down coming. It begins second week of August, not at the end. Beginning of August, right? Last through August, September, second week of October. Your most of your crops is done. Second week of November, the rest is done. Right? In the Great Lakes, just like I told y'all. I've been doing this forever. Right? In the southeast, listen, the harvest time began in August and could last into what? December. Didn't I tell y'all? This was a glorious time of harvesting and gathering such things as, look, acorns, beans, birch, blackberries, blueberries, cattails, corn, cotton, cranberries, fish, grapes, honey, meats, milkweed, mint, pawpaws, peas, pecans, peppers, persimmons, pond grass, popcorn, potatoes, pumpkins, sassafras, squash, sunflowers, sweet potatoes, tomatoes, walnuts, wild rice, and more. And yes, many of the foodstuffs in this list are actually indigenous to the New World or North America and only grew in the New World. Many were taken back to Europe, Asia, and Africa by the white man after contact, and over time became staples for those continents. As much food as possible was sun-dried and smoked meat and smoked, dried, and hung in lodges, as well as buried in food stores for the coming long winter. These times also included work on villages and homes, getting them prepared for the coming winter. Excuse me. This was the perfect time to do any repair work on wigwams. Look what they're saying right now. Time to do why that before that last killing frost come in, right? And we would be getting it today, right? In the last couple of weeks anyway. That time been getting a little chilly at night. They saying this is the last time. This was the perfect time to do any last repair work on your houses or your long houses, your buildings, your homes. The last bit of warm weather was a good time to collect any sampling still full of tree sap that could be very pliable for repairing sections of lodges and for bending to shape for future use. Now, we got to kind of also dodge the hijack. Wow, anciently, thousands of years ago, yes, we taught people how to build a longhouse, and we built longhouse. But for 2,000 years, bro, we've had 4 and 5 story buildings with running water and toilets that still work today. Go look up the Anasazi. Their buildings are still lived in today, got running toilets and water. They've been over there. They've been there 2,000 years. Apartment buildings. Right? They told you we was some type of barbaric people over here. No, man, that's just science duping y'all through religious ideology. You dig what I'm talking about? Y'all don't even know y'all victims of dogma for the most part. You know what I mean? You the victim of somebody's belief. Right? We've been not living in the long houses. We've been living in massive cities with plumbing and running water and all type of stuff for thousands of years. Right? People don't never take into the climate. You dig what I'm talking about? Rises and falls of arc cycles and destructions of different people. You dig what I'm talking about? Reconstructing and moving pieces around the world and war. Right? They never take into account the climate. And that funny that as soon as we had one of the worst earthquakes in the United States, instantly the United States government go to war against the Indians. I'm wondering what's happening on the land. Well, it was so bad in 1811, mind you, it lasted 7 months. Right? This is called the New Madrid earthquake. Started in 1811, lasted to 1812. They had earthquakes almost every day. You dig what I'm talking about? Massive earthquakes, so massive that it made the Mississippi River turn around and flow the other way. And then what happened? War 1812. They came and got you. They came to get you at a time where right after a natural cataclysm. A lot of people never take that into account. Right? During the height of harvesting and gathering, there will be great celebrations of thanks with music, song, dance, gifting, and feasting. The general celebrations varied but often lasted anywhere from 4 to 7 days and maybe even longer. The rest of the time was used working hard and long to prepare for the coming winter. Hold on, let me jump down a little bit. Afterwards, the people of the Northeast and Great Lakes drew in for a long, hard, and often bitter winter. Facts. Only the tribes in the Southeast had more celebrations that coincided with the warmer climate. They could count on certain foodstuffs and other needed natural materials to still be collectible throughout the winter months with milder winters. Right? And this is why you cut a deal with your brother and go get some of that stuff that you would normally need. You dig what I'm talking about? In the North, you supplant it with what you got massive bulks of and they need, right? And you trade it. You dig what I'm talking about? Well, that's just some of the, original causation. You dig what I'm saying? Because it's the end of the harvest season, so it's a festival. At the time, they call this thing pagan. They have now re-rocked it, repackaged it, redistributed it, and resold it to you. And you smoke it as religion, right? You think it's Christmas. You think it's Thanksgiving when it is actually your solstice days and your feast days and the days that you praise the Great Spirit. Didn't matter. Notice Israelites got these same days. Hebrews got these same days. Hindus got these same days. Buddhists and Brahmins got these same days. Tibetans got these same days. The Confucians got these same days. The Incas got these same days. Mayans got these same. Why? Because we were the most advanced people in the world over here at the time. I truly believe it. And in many parts, I think this knowledge was shared all around the world. You know what I mean? We got something from them, they got something from us. And I think one of the things that let us know that, that even though it was everywhere, generally at the same time, there's a source to a lot of things. And we see it older in the Americas. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to share a little more little insight on why Thanksgiving, why it was a so-called holiday. You dig what I'm talking about? A holy day, because they was getting into thanking the Creator for blessing them for all the rest of the year that he didn't brought them through. And then you allowed me to plant all my stuff and it came back fat. I got crops. I'm good for the winter. You dig what I'm talking about? Let me give it up for Jah. See, they think it come with some blood and some sacrifice or something. What Jah say? He say, no. He say, dance and sing for me. You dig what I'm talking about? He said, then sit still and listen. He said, I speak to the souls of all men, women, and children. Dang. That's what you do on the Sabbath. You sing, you dance, you get with family, you eat, you do all the good stuff, and then you sit still for a minute. You let that little small voice speak to you. A lot of people, people in darkness call it a conscience. Y'all don't even know that's your Creator. Think about it. That thing ain't never been wrong. Think about it, y'all. Your conscience has never been wrong. When it told you not to do something and you did it, something bad happened. When it told you don't go over there, you did what I'm talking about, and you didn't go over there. You look tomorrow and 4 of your homeboys got shot. Every single one of us can tell us your conscience told you, or what you call your gut told you, don't go over there. You dig what I'm talking about? No, wait. Tell that nigga no and see how he played. Right? Well, is he gonna get mad at me if I say no? Say no. No. This nigga, what you mean? No, nigga, what? He showed you. He showed his real true colors. You know what I mean? So, you know, that your conscience has never, ever been wrong because it is created. You think it come from you. That's only because you're selfish and you dark. All right? You are literally made of him. The thing that powers you is a spark of him. Right? It's like a little battery being connected to a big battery. Right? They don't want me to cook. It's all good. It's all good. We're gonna get back to let's get into some jams. You dig what I'm talking about? Listen. You know what I mean? Y'all want to come on up, come kick it real quick. You know, happy holidays out there to everybody. You dig what I'm talking about? Happy Harvest Day. You dig what I'm saying? Happy Harvest Day out there to everybody. Let me see what let me see if we got anything in the pipeline. You dig what I'm talking about? What we got going on? Let's go. Let's rock.
Money on the flow, and I gotta see what they talk about, you know. Don't talk about what you don't know with nobody in our business keeps us in business. Keep haters on the show, closest friends could be your enemies. Ain't trying to enjoy your mama, paranoia even gets to me, especially when you blow this loud grade tree. People's listing B plus the block praise me. I'm a gangster and a gentleman, but not too damn sensitive. No metrosexual shit, straight from the street, bitch. Stay on some G shit, posted with the heaters, 40 cal leather guns and the millimeters. Cold hearted when you deal with cats that's retarded, and I brought it to the house, so baby I'm begging your pardon. The tears from your eyes, tomorrow the day we started, we gon' wine and dine, then I leave till it's throbbing.
This is all my fault, I know, but please girl don't cry. I didn't mean to be so cold, but I got caught up. I'ma try to see you later, or make it up another night. Anything can in time.
We supposed to be intimate, but I ain't even into it. Now shorty getting sensitive, she know my time is tentative. Now every day we into it, because I'm always into it. Daddy go deliver it to get us out this tenement. Rap life is hectic, a hard occupation when it's money on the floor, and you gotta go and chase it. But your cutty feeling cabin fever, feeling isolated, when she used to getting straight back shots, inoculations. But he carried on through complications, carefully contemplating, cush up in our conversations, keeping the time pacing. Sorry to keep you waiting, but this paper won't. And these haters will leave you faded if you let them. Since Major got the magic and Chucky chasing cheddar, Calvin P.A.B. flipping D, Jimboree. Sorry about the times I left you faded. I'll make it up another time, cause the grind's still waiting.
You know you're my missus, this is all my fault, I know, but please girl don't cry. I didn't mean to be so cold, but I got caught up. I'ma try to see you later, or make it up another night. Anything can run in time.
create a gang is crazy. Boy, y'all better pay attention.
Now, you know, sometimes your boy be dropping in on different channels and whatnot. You dig what I'm talking about? Building with different people. You dig what I'm saying? And expounding on different things. And I think a lot of times people forget or never really understood because they was schooled by you know, the rote schooling, Rothschild schooling system that we've been indoctrinated in. You dig what I'm talking about? They tell us, you know, basically all we know about nigga history in America is Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, and Dr. Martin Luther King. You dig what I'm talking about? You know, and they keep it that way because they're not trying to make, you know, give you a liberal education to allow you to think for yourself. They don't want to make great bosses. They want to make great workers, right? So you kind of lose track or never even learn that the real cause of things like the Civil War, it was never about, quote unquote, really, you know, for lack of a better term. No, I have a better term. For melanated Americans, for melanated American Indians. You dig what I'm talking about? Even though slavery was real and possible, but for the most part, they bought into our system of indenture. You dig what I'm talking about? We played into it. It tied into land rights, and this is how Yo Mulatto was birthed, right? But many people don't know that at the beginning or in the middle of the 1800s that you know, it wasn't the quote unquote Negro of America that was enslaved or even primarily enslaved, right? And so I wanted to bring up this little source right here by James Houston, who wrote this book called The Forgotten Cause of the Civil War. You dig what I'm saying? And I'm gonna just be short and sweet. You dig what I'm talking about? But for anybody who is trying to tell you that you was a slave, don't you ever believe nobody. Go back and do your own history. You dig what I'm talking about? And then you pull up this source. You go to Houston. His name is James Houston. The Forgotten Cause of the Civil War. The forgotten cause of the Civil War is white slavery. Right? You pull this source out, and then you give them one of these. Because it's about to get ugly for these boys, right? Because look what he says. Look what's going on. This is the forgotten cause of the Civil War. I was going to read it from here, but I'm going to just back it up, right? Tenger's argument is straightforward and quite logically presented. Slavery's definition depended on the mother's race. This is why they call, quote unquote, slavery in America the peculiar institution, because it had never been anywhere else in the world. And all niggerdom had the birth of an individual was based on the mother's status. So if your mama a slave, you a slave. Don't matter what color you is. You dig what I'm saying? This is what the caste system was about, right? This is what race and colorism and all that stuff was about, right? So slavery's definition, listen, depended on the mother's race. By law, any quote unquote African blood meant an individual could be enslaved, right? However, because of interracial liaisons, mulattoes appeared that began losing a dark skin color. Dodge the hijack. This is Cap right here, right? There was already people who was as high yellow as any so-called mulatto, right? As high yellow as any mulatto. They didn't start losing dark skin, right? They was trying to say you look like a mix between a African and a European, or a African in an American, or an American and a European. By the way, when you mix an American and a European, guess what it's called, y'all? It's called the Portuguese. I can't even make this up this good. Look, over the decades, sizable numbers of slaves appeared who had light skins. Dodge the hijack. It was Indians already with every skin tone. This is why they looking at these people saying, "Oh, you look like a mulatto," but the people are saying, "No, I'm an Indian." Right? But this is the forgotten cause of the Civil War right here, that over the decades, a sizable number of slaves appeared who had light skins. Skin coloration, in fact, was ceasing to become a mark of slavery. Why? Because the white people was being enslaved. Right? Why? Look, he gonna tell you right here that they was worried about being enslaved again. Well, if you wasn't never enslaved the first time, how you get enslaved again? How could you get recaptured if you was never captured? Watch this. Skin coloration, in fact, was ceasing to become the mark of slavery. That circumstance led Tenzer to conclude that instead of African slavery, the South was practicing white slavery. Think about this. If they're telling you that during the Civil War, niggas was enslaved to white people in the South, right? In the South, right? How does the Union get niggas to join them if they enslaved in the South? Huh? That means everybody up north was already free. Huh? And we know that it was many of these militia groups out here. These was niggas. 100%. Protecting their land. See, what they don't tell you is the Civil War, right, and the Indian Civil War are happening at the same time. Indian Civil War and the American Civil War are happening at the same time because they are the same event, except one is happening on the field where men and women and children are dying, and one is happening in a court system. This is why it's civil. Right? How could war be civil? Huh? It's the opposite of civility. Correct? So we know we're talking about a court case, right? When on the outside, they shooting each other. But who doing the shooting? Huh? We find out it was a lot of our own ancestors sending they indentures and they slaves out there, and many times them slaves was white boys and mixed up nigga, half white boys. Half nigga, half Africans. Whatever. You was the condition of your mama. You dig what I'm saying? You gotta get past this colorism. right? But understand that they was worried about going back into slavery again, right? Going back into slavery, 1860. It wasn't you they was trying to free. That's the lie. Watch this. Skin coloration, in fact, was ceasing to become a mark of slavery. This circumstance led Tenzer to conclude that instead of African slavery, the South was practicing white slavery. Huh? That's a Hadouken. Race by the 1850s, listen, by the 1850s, ceased to be the distinguishing feature of Southern slavery. Huh? What do you mean? I thought it was only niggas. Oh, wait a minute. I told you, and many times the niggas owned Africans. I'm not here to say that no Africans wasn't enslaved. I'm not here to say that. I'm here to let y'all know that not only did white Europeans own you, but black Europeans owned you. And not only did these white and black Europeans own black Africans, they own white Africans. I'm here to tell y'all that many of your African ancestors, especially if you in America, were white. That dude that got off the boat that was enslaved in Western Africa, sold by African kings, was a white man. Your ancestor. That's how you got your African. That's how they knew that they was mulattoes. That's how they always assumed that you had the African genetic, because the African genetic made your skin light. Didn't make your skin dark, because the people who got off the boat enslaved was pale faces from Europe. Right? Look who set up Ghana. Look who set up Kenya. Look who set up Nigeria. Ex-slave Englishmen. Right? Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, they're American words. They're English. Race by the 1850s ceased to be the distinguishing feature of Southern slavery. Northerners recognized this and feared that the continued existence of slavery would lead the Northerners to become enslaved. Watch this. Because skin color no longer was any real guide. Southerners could claim Northern what? Whites. So that 12 years of slave stuff wasn't happening to people who look like me and you. It's not your story. Right? They wrote you into that story. But the Southerners was claiming Northern whites to be their runaway slaves. Why? Because they was trying to recapture them via the fugitive slave law. Why is the fugitive slave law, right, picking up Northern whites? Why would they be afraid of that if it wasn't a possibility of whites being enslaved? No, they were already enslaved in 1850. This is why abolitionists actually took this up. It wasn't because they was just so necessarily appalled by what was happening to the nigga. They went down there and actually found out that it was the niggas doing it to the white folks. That's what got them up in arms, right? Southerners could claim Northern whites to be their runaway slaves. How? And recapture them via the fugitive slave law. How? If none of it was real, you had to be a slave already to be recaptured. Tenzer demonstrates that the term white slave abounded. Listen, abounded in the appeals of abolitionists and Republicans and formed one of their main arguments to restrict and dismantle slavery. What was one of their main talking points to dismantle slavery? White slavery. Huh? Because it was more prevalent with them than it was with you. Right? And since you not African, whatever happens to the African in his slave story has nothing to do with you. This is what we're trying to, if you a slave and you come from that, well, that's you. You know what I mean? Be proud of that. You come from a long line of slaves. You did what I'm talking about. Yo, can y'all hear me? Man, they kicked me up off of this thing, man. That was crazy. That's crazy. Can y'all hear me? If y'all can hear me, man, hit me with a one in the chat real quick. Hit me with a one in the chat real quick. Right? Okay, I can be heard. All right. That was crazy. Right? You get to drop in that heat, they'll cut you off. All right, they kicked me totally off. That was weird. You dig what I'm talking about? Did y'all, where did we even leave off? What did y'all hear last? Let me see. Okay. Let's try this again. All right, let's try this again then. That was crazy. They just kicked me totally off the line. You know what I mean? But, you know what I mean? We still gonna get it. All right. I'm gonna go back up and just read it again. All right. Tenzer's argument is straightforward and quite logically presented. Slavery's definition depended upon the mother's race. By law, any African blood, right? Any African blood, and at this time, remember, and at all times, American have always been brown. There's only one American. There ain't no whole bunch of different types of American. He's only one type. He is what you would call a Negro. Everybody else came here. The Negro from here. Right? So your Indians would look like Negroes. They are Negroes. Right? Even though Watchby goes on to explain this to you. Right? But in all of human history, evil like chattel slavery had never happened. And this is why they call it the most peculiar institution, because it is the only slavery of any note of any major society where the birth of the child depended on, or the definition or social status of the child depended on the mother's race and social class. So if the mother was a slave, the child was a slave. That had never been done before in all human history. So right then and there alone, you understand that you are dealing with a spiritual darkness that had never touched the planet before. Huh? By law, any African blood or brown nigger blood, how you tell the difference? You can't tell the difference by looking at it. By law, any African blood meant any individual could, and by their narrative, was enslaved. However, because of interracial liaisons, mulattoes appeared that began losing a dark skin color. Right? Bullshit. Now, while there was admixing with some people going on, you dig what I'm talking about? There was already people who would be that color already in America, already called American Indians. Right? And this is why many of the American Indians, because of their lighter skin tone, got misnomered as mulattoes when they were, in fact, not mixed at all. They were 100% Indians. All right. Understanding again that they're trying to pigeonhole the Negro of America and say he can only be one color when he come in every color of brown. And guess what? High yeller is a color, is a shade of brown too. You just got to get over it. Just is what it is. Over the decades, look, this is what they don't want you to find out. Over the decades, a sizable number of slaves appeared to who had light skins. Skin coloration, in fact, was ceasing to become a mark of slavery. Why? Because they couldn't keep telling these whites from the niggas. The circumstance led Tenzer to conclude that instead of African slavery, the South was practicing white slavery. Race by the 1850s ceased to be the distinguishing feature of Southern slavery. Northerners recognized this and feared that in the continued existence of slavery would lead to Northerners becoming enslaved. If you had never been enslaved before, why would that even cross your mind? Because skin color no longer was any real guide. Southerners could claim Northern whites to be their runaway slaves and recapture, not capture them, recapture them via the fugitive slave law. So that means they already got their freedom papers, and now they saying, oh, no, we coming back to get you. You can't be under a fugitive slave law if you was never a slave. Message. Tenzer demonstrates that the term white slavery abounded in the appeals of the abolitionists and the who? The Republicans, because niggas like I always say, this is our party. They got together to free the niggas. You think what I'm talking about? The Republicans. No, they got together to free the white Slavs. Why? Because they wasn't even talking about you. They wasn't trying to free you, melanated man. The appeals of abolitionists abounded in white slavery. Republicans, right, and abolitionists formed one of their main arguments, white slavery, to restrict and dismantle slavery. Thus, the dread of white slavery became one of the hidden causes of the Civil War. This documentation is not in question. You can't even question it. You can't question that white slavery was a hidden cause of the American Civil War and one of the major causes. If there was whites, niggas fighting, quote unquote Africans, fighting for the North, the Union, right? Where did they come from? They had to already be in the North. Right? Free. Free. To join the Union. You wasn't just walking off the plantation. Since you was a slave. I'm telling you, the only reason my people was ever on a plantation was because we owned it. Look what they say. Most historians of the 1850s will find few documentary discoveries here, and virtually all scholars have run into this argument. In the literature, it is more appropriately assumed under the slave power conspiracy theory. The author calls it a hidden cause of the Civil War because he defines it as any political or social dynamic which exacerbated the tensions between North and South. He's right, though. And he has to agree with him, right? That, yeah, he right, but it's too broad just for him. He want to, it's just this. No, nigga. It's not no one thing that got this popping. any political or dynamics, social dynamic which exacerbated the tension between the North and the South. This definition is too broad for me, and what Tenzer has focused upon is one strand of argument that indeed existed. Look, he said it indeed existed. So his argument, whether it's too broad for him, did indeed exist and is unquestionable. You can't even question it. Right? So you got to watch the person who doing the counterbalance, even on their commentary, right? Because it shows what Tenzer doesn't know, or excuse me, it shows me what James Houston doesn't know, because Tenzer was on point. Right? Tenzer would stand, I think, on firmer ground if he argued that Northerners feared the competition between free and slave labor rather than stressing the apprehension about whites becoming slaves. But his basic point is what? What? What we even talking about then? Huh? What is we talking about? Look what he go on to say. This argument existed in the 1850s, and supporting evidence for it is unquestionable. Now, he say at this point, epistemological and methodological problems arise, but nigga, no, that's your problem. Because his argument is, and his point is correct, and his argument existed, and supporting evidence makes it unquestionable that the hidden cause of the Civil War was white slavery. Anybody want to hit the link? Come on in and chop it up with your cousin. Right? If not, you dig what I'm talking about, I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. You dig what I'm saying? Let me see if I got, let me see what I can, hold on 1 second, y'all. Well, if y'all got something up out of it, man, I hope y'all learned a little something. You dig what I'm talking about? Y'all a little laid back, lax, probably sleeping, whatever. You dig what I'm saying? Love, life, balance all out there to everybody. You dig what I'm saying? Shout out to all my loved ones. You dig what I'm talking about? Everybody I ain't get to holler at yet. I love y'all. Shout out to the gang. Y'all know what it is, man. And as always, Cosmon, only need you to do one thing for me. You dig what I'm talking about? I only need you to do one thing for me. And that's breathe in. And let that light in. Because I'm Cosmon. And I'm out.
And oh yeah, put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feel it when you feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air. Just that job theft, that child main, that papa bull, that towel main, since sunset in the arc of Wayne. My brain moving like Tao saying, so ass above, it's so below, that up. That down thing, this flow is atmospheric. I call that a ground game. See, water is knowledge, so if I'm teaching, you're learning. So how your God make a sun without vortexing and current? See, the pattern is panic. I'm reaching out for my people. Oh, watch me flow through your speakers. You feel the force of the ether. And when the force gets the equal, I'm taking off like an eagle. Police popped the pastor yesterday for pushing political. My DNA is Moshe. Mix that thing with higher water. My spirit rate is OTN. It's just a higher order, got more light than Kavita. Rap a lot just like Tila. Went from sinner to saint. Shout out my big homie Seela. Got more torque than a sports car. Got more work than a door stop. And the 4 million I make, I'm giving the Dr. Umar. Oh yeah. Yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air. Oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air. Oh yeah. Super 7 in my rites and ceremonies. I'm married to Jehovah, holy matrimony. Confucius say, in the words of Caillou, before you hit the tomb, be a bridegroom. Only got one question for Miss Susan B. On how to last Ahuin is now a Angui. Blame my inspiration, I'm just thinking thoughts. But in the way of God, we gon' keep it short. Why Jesus wanna kill me, Matthew 10:34. Just a couple questions that I'm needing to know. Oh, watch me flow, it's so potent. Set the vortex in motion. Super 7, I'm floating across the Aegean Ocean. Oh, you a Muslim now, so I guess you make it Salat. Well, I'm an Israelite, I'ma make you met the Shabbat. Got Moses on the bumper, super slap off in my spaceship photosphere. So I stay lit, peace and light to the faith is so yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air. Oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air. Oh yeah.